The morning everything changed. I awoke with an overwhelming foreboding, a sense that something imminent was on the brink of redefining my existence. I felt a weight on my chest, as if my very soul was crying out for transformation. The early years of my life were consumed by this constant anxiety, a tightrope that seemed ready to snap at any moment. My family life was a mosaic of heavy silences and unspoken expectations, where love and understanding were intangible sentiments. Growing up in a small town where everyone knew one another, I paradoxically felt more isolated than ever. Family dynamics were rigid, leaving little room for the daydreams of a restless, questioning mind like mine. My father, a man of actions more than words, often failed to grasp the internal turmoil I battled to control. It was as though I existed in a delicate balance between what was expected of me and what I instinctively knew I needed to seek. These feelings began to intensify, erupting in moments of deep reflection and despair. Sitting alone in the shadowy corners of my mind, I often wondered if life offered anything more than mundane routines and suffocating silence. This led me to a critical juncture, a crossroads where I had to confront my own inner unrest and seek answers to questions I barely dared to ask. What was truly my place in this vast universe? It was a cold night when an unforeseen event marked the beginning of a sequence that would shake the foundations of my life. I was returning home after an exhausting day at work when I received a call that would change everything. My sister, the only person I truly felt connected to, had been in a severe car accident. The news hit me like a lightning bolt, each syllable echoing in my mind as despair took hold. In that hospital by her side, I found myself reflecting on our lives. I observed the fragility of the human condition mirrored in the monitor charting her vital signs. Each beep was a reminder of how precarious the line between life and death can be. The hours spent waiting for hopeful news were filled with a devastating mix of guilt and helplessness. I wondered how something so terrible could happen without warning, and without any ability on my part to prevent it. Those moments forced introspection, driving me into an abyss of existential questions. Memories of our upbringing, of shared dreams, flowed through my mind like an unfinished film. I knew I had to change something within me, something I had delayed for far too long. With my sister's life hanging by a thread, I realized I could no longer postpone this inevitable transformation. The sense of urgency grew within, making me aware that something greater was at play, an experience that would force me to confront fears I had never dared to face. The days that followed were a fog of waiting and uncertainty, each moment highlighting the fragility and uncertainty that permeated my life. My sister's health hung in a delicate balance, and with each update from the doctors, the tension in my chest grew. Each visit to the hospital was a painful reminder of human frailty and the harshness of fate. As I remained by her bedside, something inside me began to change. I spent hours reflecting on what truly mattered and how I had neglected, not just my family, but myself. This intense period of introspection began to unravel the bonds of my insecurities. One evening, while driving home on the quiet rural road, tiny stars dotted the vast, dark sky above. Distracted by turbulent thoughts, I lost control of the car on a sharp curve. The vehicle skidded, and in a fraction of a second, chaos and destruction engulfed me. In the brief moment of awareness before everything went dark, an unexpected calm took over, as if my mind had accepted the inevitable. Where there once was anxiety and panic, there now lay resignation, and curiously, a sense of peace. I stood on the brink of an immense unknown, unsure if I was ready to face it. This delicate line between an instant of fear and acceptance of fate was about to lead me to an experience that would fundamentally alter everything I thought I knew about life and death. The moment of impact seemed to stretch beyond time and space. As my body remained trapped in the twisted metal wreckage, I could feel my consciousness beginning to detach, like a veil gently lifting. It wasn't just the physical shock of the accident, but a penetrating psychological clarity that enveloped me. For a fleeting instant, all the weight I had been carrying dissolved, replaced by a simple yet powerful understanding of what lay ahead. As the darkness gradually enveloped me, I felt a serene presence, something beyond the tangible world. Suddenly, the questions that had long tormented me ceased to matter, not when faced with the vast unknown that now welcomed me. It was a moment of transition, an invisible threshold between who I was and who I was about to become. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this near-mortal experience would be the catalyst for profound revelation. With this realization, I felt my consciousness drifting away, propelled by an unfolding destiny. As the darkness enveloped me, I felt a sudden release, as if I had emerged from the depths of an ocean into a clear, bright sky. Floating above my body, the gravity of life, with all its anxieties and pains, ceased to exist. I was immersed in a warm, radiant light that enveloped me gently like the arms of an old friend, offering comfort and serenity. It was an ethereal presence that seemed to pulse with a harmonious vibration, filling the space around me with an absolute sense of peace. My senses were intensified in an inexplicable way, allowing me to perceive colors more vividly and sounds more clearly than I had ever imagined. I could hear a gentle symphony, a distant musical echo, resonating in perfect harmony with the beat of my disconnected heart. That familiar yet unknown music seemed to contain answers to questions I had yet to formulate. Looking down, I saw my inert body and the rescue teams around it, but I felt no sadness or fear. Instead, I was overcome by a feeling of compassion and detachment, a tranquil acceptance of what was to come. I stood on the threshold of a revelation I knew would be profound and transformative. The light began to expand, inviting me to move forward. And with each floating step toward that overwhelming brilliance, I felt a crescendo of expectation mingled with immeasurable peace, a prelude to the mysteries that were about to unfold. As I moved toward the light, I felt increasingly integrated into that vast ethereal space. Time, as I knew it, ceased to have meaning, and I was enveloped by a succession of images and sensations that flowed effortlessly. I floated through an environment filled with impossible colors and fluid shapes that danced gracefully around me. It was a space that seemed to welcome everything and everyone, emanating a strange familiarity that touched my essence. The first presence I encountered was that of a spiritual guide, a figure enveloped in a light pulsating with timeless wisdom. It spoke not in words, but communicated clearly and directly through feelings and images. It radiated calm and compassion, quieting any doubts that might have formed in my mind. In its company, my unease dissipated, and I was encouraged to explore what that plane had to offer. During my journey, I visualized a vast field of souls, each seeking understanding. It was a space where we effortlessly gathered, our thoughts and intentions blending into unbreakable harmony. One of the most intense moments was when I encountered a luminous figure who needed no introduction. I understood it to be Jesus. Its presence was all-encompassing, radiating an absolute love that brought tears of gratitude streaming through my being. In an eternal instant, I was seized by visions of past lives, like fragments of a cosmic puzzle beginning to fit together. Each interaction added a new layer of understanding the interconnectedness of our existences. Through the gentle touch of my guide and the compassionate gaze of the divine figure, I perceived the complexity and simplicity of the lessons of love, suffering, and growth that define the human experience. While in the presence of these luminous guides, the universe's vastness unfolded before me like a vast canvas of wisdom. I was enveloped in a serene aura where truth was not spoken, but gently understood. My spiritual guide began to impart, through visions and sensations, profound lessons on the true purpose of human life and why we face challenges. It was revealed to me that the suffering I had experienced, all the pain, loneliness, and despair, was not meaningless. Each trial had been an opportunity for learning, a way to polish the soul and prepare it for deeper love and understanding. Each burden seemed to reveal inner strength and resilience previously unknown. I learned that the journey was not predetermined, but offered choices, each a path through which the soul could evolve. I was blessed with a vision of my own life, not only looking back, but also glimpsing future impacts. I saw subtle moments of human connection I had neglected, small gestures that had a ripple effect far beyond my imagination. The divine figure, gently cradling my essence, revealed the interdependence of our existences. I understood that we were not alone, that each soul was intertwined with others, forming a cosmic tapestry of compassion and love. Moreover, I recognized that I was called to more than merely exist. There was a spiritual responsibility, a mission each of us carries, apparently invisible, yet profoundly significant. Jesus conveyed to me that, through love and service to others, we truly begin the path to inner peace and universal harmony. It is kindness in action that perpetuates the cycle of growth and enlightenment for all. These dimensional insights forever changed my understanding of pain, forgiveness, and purpose. I felt renewed, filled with a burning commitment to bring these lessons back to terrestrial life, helping illuminate the path for those still wandering in the darkness of doubt and suffering. The vast spiritual space around me began to fade slowly, but not before I felt a mix of clarity and serenity I had never before experienced. It was as if a new word, a new language, had been inscribed into the fabric of my soul, a code of compassion and responsibility that I now fully understood. With a nod from my spiritual guide, I was gently reminded of my genuine desire for change and the promise to apply these lessons in my earthly life. I felt an immense transfer of love and encouragement in the silent farewell of my guides and the divine figure who had ignited me with newfound purpose. Jesus, with a gaze that now fully comprehended my being, reinforced that my task was to carry this sense of unity and service back to earth, helping those who felt as lost as I once had. As if a veil had been lifted, I saw glimpses of future life, smiles, achievements, hardships, and above all, genuine connections that would weave new chapters into my journey. As the light began to recede, embracing me with the certainty that all would be as it should be, I heard for the last time the gentle melody that had accompanied my journey. There was an invitation to return, a promise of beginning anew. Before I could fully register those emotions, I felt my consciousness being drawn back to the density of my physical body, like a silk thread delicately traced back to its spool. I awoke with an unfamiliar fullness, still carrying the notes of love that had been granted to me and the mission I could now not deviate from. The recognition that this experience had forever changed the architecture of my being was clear. I was ready to embrace each new day, not merely as a challenge, but as an opportunity to realize the purpose that had been revealed. With breath filled, with renewed hope, resonating with the impact of a divine truth, I returned to the world, never the same. Waking was a slow return to reality, like emerging from a deep, illuminating dream. Initially, I felt my body's weight reconnect to the senses, each breath bringing a blend of pain and renewal. The familiar chemical aroma of the hospital and the distant sound of monitors heralded my return to the physical world. Yet this time, an undeniable change was in me. As I opened my eyes, the harsh brightness of the lights above was softened by the new perspective I carried. A kind of calm that seemed to pierce directly into the core of my being. My mind, still adjusting to the density of the present, was filled with the vibrant memory of the experience I had just undergone. The lights, the melodies, the visions, and especially the reassuring presence of my guides, still echoed in my consciousness with comforting clarity. It was as if I was seeing the world around me for the first time. Colors were more vibrant, and every detail, from the gentle sway of a curtain in the wind to a nurse's kind smile, seemed imbued with meaning. However, among these newly discovered sensations, there was a clear understanding and a promise I felt echoing within me, the mission with which I was entrusted to bring light and serve others in their journeys of discovery and understanding. This renewed clarity of purpose brought an involuntary smile to my face, a genuine reflection of the lessons learned. Now reconnected with the world, I was ready to live not only for myself, but for the interwoven lives and stories that would intersect with mine. As I reflected on the transformation my life had undergone, I realized the depth of the impact the near-death experience had on me. It was as if a concealed door had been opened, revealing a path lined with invaluable lessons of love, compassion, and purpose. Life was no longer a tangled web of fortuitous events, but a journey of clear and meaningful intentions. This new understanding inspired me to share my story, hoping that others would also find the courage to seek their truths. I began engaging with communities, conducting discussion groups and spiritual gatherings. Opening my ears to others' stories, I discovered that many were searching for meaning, yearning for a beacon to guide them through life's storms. At the heart of this new life phase was the clear message I received from my guides. Suffering is not a purposeless burden, but a tool for refining the soul, preparing it for higher experiences of love and compassion. The most fundamental teaching I now imparted is that living with loving intention not only transforms oneself, but also radiates and positively impacts those around us. Over time, I discovered that my life, once marked by uncertainty and alienation, had transformed into a testament of renewed hope. Each day offered the possibility to build another step toward a more enlightened future, not only for me, but for everyone who crossed my path. I understood that by embracing uncertainty and challenges with an open heart, I honored the pact I had made during those moments of revelation. Ending my days with gratitude and the certainty that my journey was in constant evolution, my purpose remained clear. I committed to continue growing and supporting others in their quests for truth and meaning, assured that this was the true mission entrusted to me.